No? Anyone? Alright, fine. Roll the actual opening theme music. Once a month, the incredibly skilled artists of the PopCross community send in their art based off of that month's prompt, and I pick a whole bunch of the submitted artwork and redraw it in my style on this channel. This month's theme was supernatural, inspired by it being, the spookiest month of the year, and as has been the case for the last few months, there were hundreds of awesome submissions sent in. I'm pretty excited about the art that was sent in that I got to redraw for this episode. It was all a blast. I want to jump into the actual drawings already, but I know I have to ramble a little bit longer so that we have time to show a whole bunch of the submitted artwork. I can never fit all of it in, but hopefully I can get in somewhere between 100 and 200 of the submissions up on screen. Have I been rambling long enough? Probably. Alright, let's get into the first redraw because I'm excited about all these. Alright, first up we have got an awesome submission sent in on the Discord by the Unqualified Nerd. The description goes as such: just a simple idea of a ghost in a robot body. Nice and simple design. I love the idea. It's just, I love when people send in stuff that I would never come up with myself. This was just, it's so creative. I love the contrast of how simple the ghost is versus the robot body being a little bit more complicated and detailed. I love what you did for the innards underneath the chest plate. It's so cool having a slight skeletal body kind of idea. It's just so great. I love this one. One of the complicated parts of it for me in the redraw was trying to come up with a pose, because a lot of the time for a human shaped character, my go-to poses are all superhero-like. So I didn't really know where I wanted to go with this, so I kind of decided to have the character just going on a walk, so walking sideways, and I wanted to have the character walking forward and the ghost kind of like looking back. And originally I was thinking he was going to point at something, but then I thought it would be kind of cute to have him kind of with his hand right up against the glass. And I don't even really know what message I'm trying to convey with it, but I just love how it ended up turning out. My only complaint would be that I couldn't really figure out where to put the back arm. It ends up being completely hidden just because of the pose of the character, which works, but kind of feels like it was lazy, even though that you wouldn't be able to see it in terms of the pose he's in now. But either way, I Unqualified Nerd, I loved the submission. It was so much fun to redraw. Honestly, this is one of my favorite things I've drawn in ages now. And I love the subtle colors on it. Very Halloween-y and cool and original, and just great job. I hope you enjoy my version. Here it is. Alright, next up we've got a submission that is a lot more intense, sent in by Iser, also on the Discord, and the description goes like this. This is a creature that I did. I call it Satan's Watcher. It's a creature from hell that looks for people with high evilness on their souls. It follows them and whispers to them to do more wicked things. And as the person follows is slowly being more and more immoral, the Watcher's tail has a thorn in it that is slowly eating the good part of their soul and burning it in hell. Wow, that's intense. I really loved it. It jumped out to me right away. I love the red and yellow colors. The eyes all over it were just so creepy, and I love that, it's called a Watcher, and it's got those eyes everywhere, and they're not just normal kind of eyes. I love the red and black you gave to them. I actually had kind of a hard time trying to figure out how black I wanted to make the eyes. Originally I was thinking I was going to have them pure black, but that meant I couldn't give them too much depth, so I ended up doing away with that. And this is probably a redraw where I keep it the most true to your original of any redraw I've ever done. My version ends up looking almost like it's just your exact drawing, but he takes a step up and is crawling towards someone and maybe has stepped into some more intense lighting. So the lighting is coming from one side, the shadows on one side of his face. I end up doing a little bit of rim lighting after the screen recording to make his head pop out from the rest of his body. But I really love this design. It was just weird and different and cool and very supernatural feeling. It really jumped out as a supernatural, freaky, Halloween-y kind of monster. And of course, I like that he had some really long, gangly limbs. I leaned into that with the the really long arms, and he's kind of crawling forward on it, got one hand up. So fun to redraw. Thank you for the submission, Iser. I hope you like my version, and here it is. This is just a friendly reminder to leave a like if you're enjoying the episode, and if you want to see more episodes, make sure you're subscribed and have the bell rung so you get notified when episodes are coming out, Mondays, Saturdays, and sometimes more. Okay, I'll stop interrupting. Back to the drawings. DeWald Dimas submission. Right when I saw it, I started cracking up. And this wasn't like a exhale heavily through your nose kind of laugh. I genuinely laughed out loud when I saw this one. It was so great. Here's the description of it. My character is basically a modern version of the Grim Reaper. I took a bit of inspiration from the regular show Grim Reaper. Without further ado, the Grim Future. And when I saw that he was saying YOLO, I just thought that was such a funny idea of death, saying you only live once. I thought that was really clever. I didn't end up putting that in my redraw. This was another one where I wasn't totally sure what pose to do, because he doesn't really look like a character that would be in an action-y pose. I mean, he's got that big Buster Sword cleaver kind of thing, but I wanted to do something a little bit more casual the way you had it. Also, I loved your sort of blocky style, the way you did the character. It looks like something out of an animation. I really love it. For mine, I decided to have the character just giving the peace sign, which I thought was also a kind of funny idea of the Grim Reaper looking at someone and giving them the peace sign as a sort of like, hey, your ticket's coming up soon, but how's it going? Peace. I don't know, something like that. I thought it was a lot of fun. I try to keep it pretty true to your original. I don't really change up besides the pose, and I obviously render it in my sort of style. And probably my favorite part of rendering this was how you had the sweater kind of torn and the ribcage showing under it. I made that really shadowed out so it's nice and subtle, but rendering that part out was a lot of fun, especially with the folded ripped fabric below it. It's just really nice touch. I love your original. I think I probably still like yours better just because of the YOLO. Also, I rendered the sword pretty much exactly the way you did. Great job on that. But yeah, this one was so much fun to redraw. Thank you for submitting it, DeWald, and I hope you like my version. Nico the artist sent in this really awesome ghost supernatural monster on the Discord. And I love when people send in a pose and then a close-up shot or a couple poses. And he's even got that in the description. There's an emotion color. Those rings on the character have different colors based on the character's emotion. I wanted to have it a bit angry. I really liked the idea of just a Hulk type ghost. And this one was so much fun. I tried to pick a few different levels of details in terms of designs in this episode because I do tend to lean towards the more simple ones, but this one, the simplicity of it was so much fun to play with the coloring and lighting. The rings on it really add a nice pop in the end in the coloring stage, but I love just having a big blocky sort of character. I gave him a pose where I basically drew him as if I was drawing the Hulk, and just I really like, I don't know what it is about this pose, just having the character one fist down, looking off to the side. It's like he's about to go charge at someone. And also I love the way you did the rendering for the eyes, how he doesn't actually have eyes, but they're implied by the indent in the face. That was so much fun to redraw and render out. I liked how you had kind of smaller legs on the character. I might have exaggerated that even more and had them really small, made the upper body that much bigger. And I liked getting to play with a bit of sections of white and sections of black. There's just so much nice contrast built into the design. Yeah, Nico the artist, awesome submission. Here is my version. There was no way I was going to do a supernatural episode and not redraw some kind of werewolf creature. There were a bunch of cool werewolves sent in, but I really loved Hard Fever 22s. Here's the description, it's a bit of a longer one. And this creature is called the Hellhound. Dr. James Peterson is a mythologist who one day found a strange looking book with a lock on it in a library. Upon his curiosity, he unlocked the book and started reading it. While reading it, James accidentally unleashed a demonic hellhound, and he fainted till the next morning. After that night, James doesn't feel like himself. He behaves very strangely, like an animal. always craving for raw meat. One night, James feels like something isn't right, and he rushed to his basement. Sweating heavily like something's burning in him, he then took off his shirt and found a hell symbol on his chest, and he starts to transform into a hellhound. A werewolf-like creature with red flaming eyes. He can summon hellfire with his hands, and they can destroy his victims. He has fire on his legs to let his victims know that he's coming for them. One thing that might make this monster scarier than a werewolf is that it will transform during nighttime and not just during the full moon, which means it'll go on killing sprees as long as it's nighttime. And I loved the shape of the character. That's one of the main things that really drew me to it. It's got those giant hands that I like. It's got the giant feet. It's got a nice narrow waist. It looks really jacked looking. It's another Hulk-like creature. And I love the red streak of hair on its head. It just really pops out, makes you want to focus on the creature's face and those big teeth. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the werewolf from the old Van Helsing movie, and that is one of my favorite werewolf designs out there. I drew the character in a sort of lunging pose coming right at the camera. I didn't end up putting fire on the feet. I'm just kind of noticing that now. Sorry if that was, I don't remember if that was a necessity of the character. I don't have them there, but I loved putting the fire on the hands and giving the eyes a bit of a glow. So I hope you like my redraw. Here is the final result. Next up, sent in to popcrossanimations@gmail.com, we've got a submission from Tom Burden, and the description goes like this. I have drawn my character called E. Harvest, who is a tormented soul put into a farming robot. He had enough of his job, and every Halloween he finds children to be replaced with, but he can never pull it off. Can he this year, though? And this submission was so much fun. I love the style that you did the face in. I love the little touch of he's got some vines kind of coming out of his robot bits. This was the other robotic type character I redrew in this episode, and I loved the combination of the plant effects and the robot bits. And I really liked the idea of drawing that other hand, the vines kind of coming out. Just drawing vines is a lot of fun. I mean, maybe that's because I was in that kind of mindset after drawing the Shambling Mound in the Star Wars Dungeons & Dragons episode. But yeah, I just like the idea of taking those vines and making them a little bit angular and freaky and Halloween-y, and I had so much fun rendering out the jack-o'-lantern in my style inside on the screen. That's something that I wasn't too sure about, if I had ended up making it look like the jack-o'-lantern is inside a case or if it's actually on the screen, which there would be subtle differences between the two. If the character's head is kind of tilted, it would look a little bit flatter against the screen front. I don't know if that makes sense, do you know what I mean? Either way, I like how it ended up looking. I did the pose very similar to what you did, just kind of lifted the arms a little bit differently, tilted him to the side. I wanted us slightly looking up at him to make him a little bit more intimidating looking. But besides that, I tried to do everything the same way you'd done it, and this was such a blast, rendering out the different bits, the blockier parts, and then the more viney, tangly bit. I don't even know. It was just so much fun. Tom Burden, thank you so much for the submission. I hope you like my version, and here it is. Manto, what's the big idea here? I'm trying to convince people that I'm a good artist, and you're here sending in this incredibly phenomenal artwork that is just blowing the stuff I'm doing out of the water. This is gorgeous. I mean, the character itself is really cool and awesome and just out there and wild, but the thing that blew me away most about the art you sent in was actually this environment that you drew the character in. This crazy, freaky, Lovecraftian hellscape was just so cool. I've just realized I haven't read the description out, so let's read out the description that Manta sent in. Also, the name is Manta Ray or RM Creeps, but specified that I could call them Manta or Creeps. I'm gonna go with Manta. I don't know why, I just like Manta. Anyway, this is my guy Eevee, or Evictus. He's originally the sprite I played as in Terraria, but recently I decided to take some liberties with him and turn him into an actual character. I'm not sure what he is, to be honest, but he certainly fits the supernatural aspect well. He's a hero, albeit potentially an anti-hero, still working out his story. His wings are made of a glowing purple fire, and his main powers are those glowing, watery, bubble blue auras, which were fun to do in my version of the drawing. And the main thing that I enjoyed about redrawing this character, besides just how wild and out there the design is having the wings kind of framing the character. I didn't make them quite fiery, but I did make them glowy, and I had them brightest right near where the character is so that it would draw your eye to there, and then I made the outside of the wings as they're curving around a darker color so they really are just framing the character. My only complaints about my version is I think I should have made that front hand a little bit bigger, and I should have made the head a little bit smaller, but this was seriously a blast to redraw. Such a cool design, awesome work, your art is so fantastic, and I hope you enjoy my version of it. Here it is. Chris Wood sent us in this cool, icy, diamondy looking hound creature that I thought, this is gonna look a lot of fun in my style and be fun to draw. So here's the description. The creature's name is Crip Talk. He's an underground dweller made from rock/slate, like material that is blue in color. His eyes have evolved so he can see in dark places and also glow to light up his surroundings. They also emit energy bursts as a defense mechanism. And I thought that was such a cool idea. Hound creatures are just fun to draw. I decided to have it really low to the ground, like it's looking at someone ready to leap. It's prepared for a fight. I made its eye, its pupils kind of really small, so it looks more angry and menacing and freaky. I gave them a little bit of that glow, but kept it pretty subtle. And overall, it was just fun lighting this character. His whole body I inked in a sort of not quite black color because he's supposed to be a little bit bluey, diamondy kind of looking. The only change that I made is I added a sort of, not ring of spikes to his back, but sort of a line of spine pattern kind of thing. And then near the end, I thought it could use a little bit extra touch of color, so I decided to add a little bit of a reddish rim lighting coming from the back of the creature, just to make him pop out a little bit more and add a little bit of extra color to the whole piece. So Chris Wood, I hope you like my version. Thank you for the submission. Here you go. That's right, Jack of all claws, your hard work has finally paid off. Now, Jack of all claws has been subscribed to PopCross Studios since, well, even since before it was called PopCross Studios, back when it was called PopCross Animations, and I thought it was going to be a storytime animation channel. Were you around that long, back when I had like 1,000 subscribers or less? Anyway, it's been ages, he's been along for the whole ride, and he's submitted to like 9 of the 10 months of community redraw episodes, and I think this is a perfect month to redraw one of his pieces, because Supernatural just seems to fit really well with your armature submissions. As you can see, his submission wasn't a drawing per se, it was a sort of, I was gonna say sculpture. Sculpture's not the right word. Armature built with fabric and wires, and the face on this one just really grabbed me as a sort of cool Halloween supernatural kind of thing. And here, I'll read out the description that Jack of all claws submitted. His name is Eric Dupin. He is a vampiric detective and part of an equally vampic subgroup of Hausenstein called Nosferatus. He normally wears a scarlet jacket or cape, I added the scarlet cape into my redrawing, and a face mask that makes him look like the Invisible Man. He's inspired by the Phantom of the Opera, Candyman, Dracula, and the works of Edgar Allan Poe / H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, and possibly the Scarlet Pimpernel. I wasn't sure how much creative liberty to take going from the armature to the drawing. I tried to keep it pretty true to your original design. As I said, I added the cape from the description. Then I also added a belt in. I don't really know why, it just came to me. I added a little bit of extra detail on the stomach so it wasn't just the wires. My only problem with my final version of it is I think I made the eye a little bit too cute because I kept it big and then added in a little bit of lighting to it. But besides that, I really like how it turned out. I hope you like my version. Thank you so much for being such a longtime supporter of the channel. It's awesome to have you. And I hope you like my version of Eric Dupin. Here you go, Jack of all claws. Alright, we've got our background for the next month, and before I announce what the theme is for the next month's redraw, I want to go over some honorable mentions. Pieces that I really loved, that really jumped out to me, that I just didn't get a chance to redraw because I can only redraw so many per episode. First up, we've got a submission by TJ Gaming. The character is called Splitster. It's really cool looking. I love that there's a sort of wiggly line down the middle. The colors are great. It's cartoony and fun. The eyes are big and pop really nicely. And I like that you wrote Splitster, split color-wise as well. That was really great. Then Anyamp, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, sent in on the Discord. This absolutely gorgeous drawing. The colors on it are just so phenomenally done, especially in the hair and the skin tone. This is just gorgeous. Then we've got one from Peridot who did this really cool, freaky, ghastly, expelling monster. Looks like something out of Stranger Things, or like a mix of Stranger Things and Kong Skull Island, the Skull Walkers from that. It's really cool looking. Then Marcus Rivers, this was just so cool. I love the lava sling, that's such a cool idea. The hair is great, the expression, the lighting, just absolutely beautiful. Juicy Dew, this Robo Frankenstein was such a cool idea, so well executed. I love your style, the rendering is all great. That arm is it's so well done. JK's, this one blew my mind. Your rendering is so stylish and cool. I love the black outline around it, but then the way you do shading, that's cell shaded, but just I don't even know how to explain your style. It's so cool, and that face in the background, I love how you've done that. This is a beautiful drawing. H2O Louie, I love this cartoony team up of these two characters. This was a werewolf submission that I just didn't quite get around to. I love the one dark eye and one light eye. They look like a cool, fun team. This was a really great job. Firebird, I love this one so much. It killed me that I didn't get around to drawing it. The huge scythe, the smoky scythe that she can create. It was such a cool idea. I love the two different drawings and the different costumes. And the Day of the Dead inspiration was really well used. It's so cool looking. I love this style. Dorky Boy, this was awesome. Everything about it, this skull candy sort of character. It's so cool the way you've done the background, everything about it. It's great. I love this so much. Cyberlord1109 on the Discord. This Grim Reaper Scarecrow character was really cool. I love the red and purple coloring on it. The pose is great. The way the scythe is like dynamically curving up towards us. It's really nice. Awesome work. Zarashiel also on the Discord. I love the two designs of this character, the alternate versions, the color palette put in. I love this format of submission. You've got two versions of the character, and I love how the horns curl around the ears. That's such a cool design idea. Brent Langford, who sent an Instagram as well, at dragon_den_art. Go check it out if you like the art, which you probably do because it's really gorgeous. I absolutely love how you've done the purpley, bluey, I don't know, nebula in the sort of clothing on the sides and the lower loincloth thing. That's really cool. I love how you've done the wings. The rendering is all just really beautiful. Awesome job. Thunderwolf, this creature was so cool. It felt very Ben 10 inspired, and just I love the sort of dinosaur tiger stripe, an awesome way of laying out your submission. Whole bunch of different sketches of the character. Super cool stuff. And finally, we've got a submission from Brady Patty that your rendering is phenomenal. I wish I could draw and render wings as well as you've done them here, because that is just absolutely gorgeous. This whole the whole submission is just so stylish. Man, the more I look at it, the more things I'm impressed about the rendering on it. Awesome work. And thank you so much to everybody who submitted this month. There was so much cool stuff, as always. I'm always so impressed by how many incredibly skilled artists there are following this channel. I can't wait to see what you have for the next month. And the theme for the next month is Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, we're finally doing something fantasy related. It doesn't have to be your personal Dungeons and Dragons character. You can make a creature or a non-player character or just whatever you want that comes to you when you think Dungeons and Dragons. So basically it's kind of just a fantasy themed month, but Dungeons and Dragons is more searchable and clickable, and there's a logo for it and stuff. So Dungeons and Dragons, let's see what you've got. I'm so excited to see what gets sent in. If you've never submitted before, instructions are in the description below. But anyway, that's all for this episode. Thank you again so much to everyone who's submitted. If you like this episode, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified when episodes are coming out. I'm Christian Pearson. This has been PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.